All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Hindi University. Really excited to have all of you this Sunday. As you know, my name is Ashutosh, and we meet every Sunday, 8 a.m. US Pacific time, which is time on the west coast of the US, and we learn about the Hindi language. For those of you who are new to Hindi University, you can learn more about us in our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hindi University. If you want to join our free interactive sessions we have every Sunday, you can find the details here, which is tiny.cc/Hindi University. It's one word, okay? And you will find all the details about the previous classes, the books we've been covering, and also the lessons are structured based on topics, so you can always filter it and then look for the topics you are interested in. You'll find the details about the Zoom sessions that we have, not this class, but also the practice sessions that we have on a regular basis, which is organized and hosted by the advanced Hindi University students. And as you know, we've been covering two books in parallel this year. One is Pingu Learns Hindi, which is a book for the beginner, and the second one we have is Advanced Hindi Grammar by Professor Usha Jain. So we really start the topic from here, and in like the basic topic, and then we make sure that we can cover intermediate, advanced level students as well. Okay. Lately we started a topic called compound verb. Compound verbs. So if you guys recall, we covered compound verbs for two auxiliary verbs, lena and dena, which is how when these two verbs are used along with other verbs, okay, how do they modify the meaning of the given underlying verb, okay. In this class, the goal is to use the third most commonly, in fact this is the most important one, it's used very commonly across the board with other verbs. How when you use jana with other verbs, how does it kind of like change the meaning of the underlying verb. So by the end of this class, my goal is at least you will start getting comfortable taking any random verb out there and at least trying to use jana with it. It's a different thing whether you'll be able to figure out all of them, but my goal is at least you'll get the difference using jana with the other verbs versus without it, okay. At least you should be able to contrast it together. Once you do that, things will automatically start coming, okay. With that in mind, let's get started. As always, your questions, discussion always welcome, right? So if you have any questions, don't think it's easy or a silly question. If you have it, most likely other people may have it as well, okay. So it's always important to ask. So going back to the topic, we started with compound verb. And if you guys recall, the definition we discussed was when main verbs in a given sentence. Sometimes Hindi speakers use additional verbs along with it, auxiliary verbs, okay, um, to basically compound the meaning of the underlying. They use it to compound the effect of the main verb, and that's why they're calling compound verbs, right? Because they're compounding the meaning. And as you know, some of the examples of main verbs are khana, pina, sona, dekhna, you name it, right? Typically we use them independently, but now in this case we are going to use them with the auxiliary verbs. In the previous two classes we've tried these two verbs, lena, dena, and now we'll try to see where jana fits in the picture, okay. Just by the look of it, Vidyaji, can you tell me which of these verbs you can use with jana?
खाना पीना सोना
Mhm.
I think dekhna also.
Okay, okay. You think dekhna will?
No, dekhna no. It's doubt. I'm doubting.
These three. Okay, dekhna fits.
Lena.
Very good.
Lena.
Very good, right? So it goes better with lena. Dekh lena. Okay, awesome. Now let's. So this is sort of like a quick quiz to kind of like really see. But now let's try to break it down further. Okay, you see there are verbs that I have written here, and bear with me if this topic is advanced with some of you. It's gonna come slowly. Okay, if you notice, I've randomly written some verbs: khana, pina, sona. What kind of, and Vidyaji mentioned that you can use khana. I'm gonna write it again. You can use pina, and you can use sona. And when you have JAANA here, okay, what will happen? What will happen, Vidyaji, here? Like, what is the output of it? Khana plus JAANA is?
Ajana.
Very good. Kha jana. Infinitive form only right now. Kha jana. We're not making any sentence yet. Similarly, this one, pina plus jana would be same pattern. Pi jana. And third one, sona plus jana. So jana. Awesome. So if you notice the pattern, when we're using these auxiliary verbs along with the other verbs, you are removing this na and you're using the base stem of this word along with jana. Okay, what kind of verbs are these? If you were to dig deeper, Vidyaji, you have khana, pina, and sona. Are they all same kind of verb, or is there you eat something, you drink something?
Yeah, sona is intransitive, and the rest is transitive.
Very good. So sona is, you said, intransitive, and this word is transitive. What is the difference? Somebody may ask you, but why these are transitive? Why this is intransitive? Why do you think that is the case?
Because the transitive has to use with the object.
Very good. Okay.
And intransitive, they don't need an object.
Very good, right? So essentially, what she's saying is, for transitive verbs, there has to be some object receiving the action. Like when you when you eat something. Okay, when you drink something, whether it is water, whether it is soda, whether it is juice, you drink something. But when you sleep, you just say, I slept or I sleep. Okay, there is no direct object associated with it. So that makes it an intransitive verb. So what I'm trying to highlight here is jana can be used with both intransitive as well as transitive verb. It is most commonly used with even if between the two, it is more commonly used with intransitive verbs. Okay, there are cases which we'll be covering where it is used with transitive verb as well. Okay, so that's again going back to the basics. We are learning how to make compound verbs using jana as an auxiliary verb, which means jana is used with some other verbs, and we will study the effect of it. Okay, if these terms sounds too intimidating, intransitive, transitive, don't worry as of now. And let's go one by one. So let's see. We have some set of. We'll first study what if we have these intransitive verbs. So case one, basically, when you have intransitive verbs which are used with jana. Okay, whenever you use intransitive verb with jana, it gives sense of completion. It's really like something was in state one and it transitioned from this state to state two. Okay, So when you said so JAANA, sona is basically to sleep, but as opposed to that, when you use so JAANA, it implying that the state was changed of the person from state 1 to state 2, which means like somebody, whether being awake, from being awake, it transitioned to, you know, it transitioned to from being awake to in the mode of, you know, sleep basically. Yeah. So the state changed from being awake to falling asleep, and that's when you will use your thought process should be when you want to, in your sentence, when you want to show this transition. Okay, now English you will use, you know, other ways to express it. There is definitely not a compound verb, but in Hindi, you know, there is an additional thing, like when you want to show this transition from being awake to falling asleep, you end up using jana with sona. Okay, and you'll say so jana. Okay, that's the transition you're trying to highlight here. Okay, so let me just erase this part. I hope you are able to write it down. So your base case here is sona, and from sona you went to so jana. Now this is infinitive form. Okay, and based on the situation you are in, if the state change in the past, you know, you will say so gaya, because jana, the past form is you know, gaya, gai, and gaye. Okay, so when you want to, when you read something which says John so gaya, it really means that John, his state changed from being awake to falling asleep. Okay, as opposed to John soya, which is a correct, grammatically 100% correct sentence. It's not giving you, like, it just tells you John slept. Okay, it's not really showing you that extra effect of state or transition from being awake to falling asleep. Any questions with this one? Because it is tricky, so, you know, feel free to throw your questions. We'll definitely do more examples, but I want to take questions right now.
Ashu Ji, would it be proper to, like, if you're trying to tell somebody to fall asleep, to say so Joe? Or does that not make sense?
So yeah, so it's the same thing, right? So basically what you're saying is, you're telling someone, this is, as you can tell, what is this ending with o? Is it it's an imperative. Very good, right? So you're really telling someone, change your, transition your state from being up to fall asleep. Right. So
Okay,
you're 100% right that it is 100% correct. So jao. That's your question, right? Or you want to share?
Yeah, no. You answered my question. I just want to make sure that was proper.
It is proper.
That meant what I thought it was.
Yes, it is. Good question. Anyone else?
Ashu Ji,
Yeah.
You use it in the past tense. Maybe you can give an example in the present tense.
Yeah. So let's do that. So let me erase this part. So it's really, think about someone changes their state on a regular basis, right? Whenever something happens. So let's say you have, let's say we're talking about, tell me.
Can I try?
Yeah, let's do that.
वो हर हमेशा 9 बजे सो जाती है.
Okay, very good. So वह हमेशा 9 बजे सो जाती hai. So that, let's say 9 p.m. in this case. Okay. Now tell us, Nandini ji, I think it was you. How is this different than वह हमेशा? And I want everyone to do this thought exercise, even though I'm asking Nandini ji. So you have sentence 1 versus sentence 2. वह हमेशा 9 बजे
I guess,
सोती
I mean,
है.
if you just want to communicate, you could still say soti hai and it will still convey the message, but it adds that emphasis saying that she's changed. I mean, the transition doesn't get into my head. It just flows better when people say so jati and so gaya and
Okay.
so jayega.
Okay. So if you are, you are 100% correct.
You're emphasizing sort of. That's what happens.
The change, right? So in this case, वह हमेशा 9 बजे सोती है. Like that's routine. That's her routine, that she sleeps at 9 p.m. every day. हमेशा. Right?
I think it is. She daily sleeps off at 9 p.m. Something like that.
Yes.
She falls asleep.
Like in English, more or less the translation is same, and that can throw people off because it's the same thing in English, right? You're saying the same thing, but here it's basically highlighting that her state changes, like from being up to fall asleep 9 p.m. every single day.
Right, which I guess would be like for the bottom one, you wouldn't know. Maybe
Yes.
she was also sleeping at 8 p.m.
That's right.
You just know that she sleeps at 9 p.m. Whereas the top one, that's when she's falling asleep.
Yes.
At 9 p.m.
That's a much better way of showing the distinction. Right?
Yes, thank you. That makes sense.
Anyone else? Anyone still not happy? Happy in the sense like, it's hard. Go further. Okay. What about future?
I think it's going to be
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's just going to be a bit more complicated when we use other words beyond maybe sona, because, falling asleep is a little easier than thinking about maybe the concept of like kana or pina.
Yes. So those are transitive verb, there it's subtle variation. It's not changing the state. It's a sense of thoroughness. We will cover those examples as well. So let's plan to cover at least 5 or 6 intransitive verbs where there is no direct object and show this change in the state. Okay. So
Ashu Ji?
yeah.
Ashu Ji, if I'm reading this right, this almost looks like a literal translation. If I read that, it would be, she always sleeps at 9 o'clock. And the other one would be, she always goes to sleep at 9 o'clock. And it looks like almost a literal translation.
So, English, it's, English, I don't know how to kind of like, where did you read this one, Jay? Daddy?
What?
Did you read it in the
Usha board there?
In the Usha Jain book or in the Rupert Snail?
I'm just reading what's on the board.
Oh, I see. So,
she always sleeps at 9 o'clock. And then the top one is, she always goes to sleep at 9 o'clock.
She always goes to sleep. That's right.
It works sometimes, doesn't it, Ashu Ji? And it doesn't work with other verbs like ajao.
Ajao.
You won't say, it won't work in that literal sense, you say. Come and go. It's not come. Go.
Yeah. No, so let's look at some more work. Maybe it will help. Okay, but my request is like try not to translate it, because then you will go into that like mode of translating it versus just trying to understand this thing in Hindi. Okay, so let me erase it and we'll try some more examples. Maybe it will help because it's a straight transitioning. One more thing I want to tell you is when you're using JAANA with this verb sona, JAANA will lose its meaning. Okay, in the final outcome, lose its meaning. Okay, so it is basically so JAANA. And there is no notion of JAANA which is to go. Okay, similarly when you have ANA plus JAANA, it's basically aa jana. Okay, basically you are using ANA is to come, right? So you're telling someone to change their state, okay, from where they're not coming to come to your place. So there's no notion of like, jana. There's like, jana is losing its meaning. It's just compounding the effect of ana. Okay, just such as like, barish. Okay, barish is rain. Okay, barish आएगी versus बारिश आ जाएगी. Okay, बारिश आती है versus बारिश आ जाती है. Okay, बारिश आई versus आ गई. The state change. Okay, from where there was dry to बारिश आ गई. Okay, let's try some more example. So right now I'll just go by a reverse engineer and I'll just go by straight transitioning. Right, so let's say I am in a situation where I'm standing, and from standing I change my state to sitting. So what is the final verb here? To sit is, everyone can write it down on these. Yeah, very good. So the verb here is baithna, right? To sit. Now I want to show the transition, how I got to this state, baithna. I will use baithna with which auxiliary verb?
JAANA.
Very good, JAANA. And then it is
बैठ गया.
bat, just infinitive form, it's bat, jana.
बैठ जाना.
Very good, right? Now let's try to, was it clear? Forget about the other areas which we'll cover, but at least you see, let's say Ashu is standing and I'm just, changing my state to sitting. Okay? To sit is baithna, as you know, but you want to highlight it that Ashu बैठ गया. He transitioned state from being up to sit down. He sat down basically. And Ashu बैठ गया. Questions on this one? Versus Ashu बैठा. This is your typical, you will say in past indefinite form, right? Ashu baitha versus Ashu baith gaya, where you have the extra part of jana in the past tense to highlight the meaning of, to compound the meaning of the main verb baithna. Still hard? Anyone has any comments on this one? Let's hear from Sharmila ji. Sharmila ji, what do you think? Ashu baitha versus Ashu baith gaya.
Well, and as you said, the first one, Ashu baith gaya, in my understanding, he is now sitting there. So he has gone from standing into sitting mode.
Yes.
And the other one is just simply saying Ashu is sitting there.
He sat.
Right? So
yes, that's right. Ashu sat, right? What about you, Kelly ji? What do you think? Is it throwing you off? Or at least you have it in the framework, you understand that it's
well, these verbs always give me the big and sitting, standing, because we don't say it the same way, right? So if maybe you can just say Ashu is sitting, Ashu was sitting, because you don't use the progressive tense for Begna, right?
Oh, I
That's
see.
what
I see. So let's use another one. which basically when someone they get sick, right? When someone gets sick, let's try to use it. So let's see, someone from being healthy, hopefully this will make sense, from being healthy to, from someone is from being healthy, they are falling sick. What is to fall sick, Kelly ji?
Let's see. So sorry.
It's okay.
Let's see. Bimar is sick, right?
Very good.
So
Yes. Bimar,
like when you get sick, I don't know, bimar hona.
very good.
To
That's
be
it.
sick.
That's it. Bimar hona.
And
Okay.
to fall sick sounds like it would be more like you would do the jhana with it.
Yeah. So like you're changing the state. Like bimar hona is,
Bimar hona is to be sick.
to be sick.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what I want to say. To be sick. Now you want to show the transition from this state to this state. So what will you do? Bimar hona you will use along with
Jhana, right?
well, yes.
So what's so funny here is, right, you don't say you're going from, you don't actually say being healthy, like tabiat, to, you know what I mean? Like you see what I'm saying?
You don't say it, but it's when you say bimar ho gaya, when you're saying it, or bimar ho jana, what you're implying is the state of the person change. Versus,
So if you're like, let's say you start to feel a tickle in your throat, right? And you think, I think I'm getting sick. Is that what is happening?
I'm getting
You're
sick.
in the transition.
One more time, Kelly ji.
So like, when you feel a tickle in your throat and you think you're healthy, but then you think, I think I'm getting sick. Is that what this is like?
So you can say that thing in two ways. One is मैं बीमार हो रहा हूँ, like I am getting sick. Versus, let's say you drank something, okay? And that point you say मैंने जूस पिया, let's say, और मैं बीमार हो गया. So you are using that as like a transition point that when you did something or you basically got sick there, बीमार हो गया. Versus like using it just बीमार होना, right? So where you are saying like you remove the na and मैं बीमार हो हुआ in the past, if you want to say it. What was your original thought here? Like how would you say this one if you were to like explain your own scenario that you are thinking right now?
I don't know. Male John home.
What? Nahi jante?
It's the first sentence that you say, and then you say the second one, right? Like, before I was thinking how I can distinguish it, where you just had John fell asleep. Like, he was out all night, and then during class, John fell asleep. So the context is always important, right?
Yes.
For these sentences. So in this one, if I were to say, let's see, I'm feeling a tickle in my throat. I'm afraid that I'm getting sick. Is that where you would use this one, or this is actually a before and after? That's right. So if there's a tickle, I'm simply gonna say मैं बीमार, like you are feeling it, right? So बीमार. Yeah, right. I'm nervous, right? Yes. So what you're saying with these guys is that like something has shifted. So like
that's right.
Today, like yesterday, I tried that new restaurant.
That's right.
Today I'm sick.
Yes.
Like,
so मैंने let's say you ate something completely new, खाया और मैं बीमार हो गई.
Okay, so it's not like the process, you know?
Yes.
I think that's what I'm saying. It's not it's a before and after. Is that right?
That's right. Before and after.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I thought for some reason that this was more like the process, like when you're in the midst of sitting or something, or you're in the midst of falling asleep. So it's actually before and after.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see what Nandini ji is raising her hand. Let's see what she has to share. Nandini ji, go ahead.
No, I'm not raising my hand for myself. I'm going to throw Colin G under the bus. He explained it so beautifully last time. In the olden English, what it means to stand and then to be seated, I think. Something like that he mentioned.
Yeah.
So that made more sense, but I'm not able to explain it as well. I think here for the Bimar Hona is saying that I was okay yesterday.
Yeah.
Now I've become sick.
Yeah, I have become sick.
Something like that.
Yeah,
but Colin G can explain it better. English is not my first line.
Yeah, I think I think either we figure out a way to just the thing is like we're using English, right? So it makes it slightly challenging. Like, is it the process versus like I think the state change is one common thing that you will notice, like whether it is so jana, bad jana, bimar ho jana, or versus some others, right? Let's see. Yeah.
I can't remember what I said last time, but the only thing I would say is that when I look at these verbs and the compound verbs, I'm thinking that one is in an active voice and the other is in a passive voice. So the active voice is more like there is an action happening, and then the passive voice is more like something has happened, or something is there is a state, but there's no action involved, and there's no action happening at that time. So, when you have jhana, as you say, immediately it tells you there's some action involved. You're moving from one state to another state, whereas when you don't have it, you're just saying, this is how it is. It's like more, well, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say. But
wasn't jhana? I thought jhana at some iteration of my Hindi learning months ago was that it was a sense of finality.
That is there, right? Changing the state is basically
it's like I'm, I am sick, like no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think we could use like think in this scenario.
Which one in the following sick, you mean? Which one, Tyler G?
Oh, I was just saying, like earlier, like Kelly G was talking about like thinking, like I think I'm getting sick, or I think I've become sick.
Yeah.
I don't think we could use that in this scenario because these are like, this is something that has actually happened, and we know that this has happened.
Yeah. So they use two things. Like one is where you have a sense of completion, finality that you're talking about, right? Versus the second one is the state change. Those are the two things. So when you've fallen sick, it's basically, maybe this can help you better, where you have a sense of like, completion in the sense of like, that you've gotten sick now. So then bimar ho gayi hu, right? Let's see some more. Maybe, so if you keep on trying, maybe, so from being on the way to, let's say, reaching somewhere. And I want everyone to try this one, reaching somewhere. I want everyone to try this on Zoom. So what is to reach in Hindi first? I want you to write it down and tell me when this verb is used with jhana, what is the final outcome? Don't say it right now, just write it. To reach in Hindi first, and let's see on the how everyone is doing on the Facebook side. So namaste Leah ji, Barbara, Ash, Elan ji, Amadi, Gopal, Samar, Tarja. Awesome. So to reach along with JAANA. So let's see. Okay, awesome. Let's see how is everyone doing. Okay, awesome. Vatsalaji, how are you doing? You want to share your thoughts here? What is to reach?
Pahunchna.
Very good. Pahunchna. Pahunchna. Okay. What if you use pahunchna with, because state is changed from being on the way to reach somewhere, it would be
Pahunch jana.
very good. Pahunch jana. Okay. So let's say tomorrow you have a flight. Okay. And you will reach New York at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. Future tense. Which form of jana will you use? कल मैं 3 बजे न्यूयॉर्क. Let me write it down. कल मैं 3 बजे न्यूयॉर्क. Two things. So form of पहुंचना. पहुंचना with and jana.
पहुंच जाऊंगी.
Very good. कल मैं 3 बजे न्यूयॉर्क पहुंच जाऊंगी. Okay. That means you will reach your destination. Okay. It's giving that sense that you will land. You will land there. Versus, and again, like I think we are trying to compare it. So far it isn't really crystal clear, but let's try it out. Versus कल मैं 3 बजे न्यूयॉर्क. The other one would be I will reach पहुंचूंगी. Grammatically both of them are correct, but the first one is showing you it's giving some more emphasis, right, where you are compounding the basically this part, right? And the context here is like you are when you're telling someone, like I mean, let's say you requested a cab or something, right? And then you want to really make it very clear that you'll make you'll land there, then you can use the first one. On this one, let's test this out among our people. What do you guys think? Christina ji?
What am I saying?
The question here in this one, do you see a difference from your perspective, or even is it still not clear about like situation 1 versus situation 2? Versus, so basically the question is pahunchna versus pahunch jana. The difference, like, do you see any difference in the two sentences? If yes, what difference do you see? If not, which one you will go in your by default mode?
By default, I would probably not use jana.
You will not use jana by default. I see. Okay. Okay. And for you also, you don't see any major difference here, or do you see anything?
Not really. I guess maybe if you want to stress that you really arrived now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mahaji?
Ashu Ji, can I just say, would it be like saying instead of, I'll arrive in New York at 3 versus I'll definitely get there. I'll definitely be there at 3. Like, is that what that Jaungi is doing? Is adding like definitely?
Definitely is there. Yes. Yeah. It definitely, is there. Mahaji, what do you think from your yeah? आपको क्या लगता है?
दोबारा पूछो.
So दो सेंटेंस है. ये सेंटेंस और ये सेंटेंस है.
हाँ जी.
Okay.
हाँ वो पहली वाली तो it's like more precising for ये 3 बजे के बारे में ताल्लुक मुझे लगता है कि लेकिन वो दूसरी वाली फिर भी अगर 3 बजे नहीं है फिर भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Okay, that's right. So what she's saying is like कि most of you understood it, like कि this is like 3 बजे अगर नहीं भी पहुंचे तब फर्क नहीं पड़ता, but this में मतलब it doesn't matter whether you'll get there at 3 or not, but in this one there is a sense of like the completion that you'll definitely get there by 3 o'clock. 3 बजे पहुंच जाओगे.
Yes, वही है जो मैंने बोलना चाहती थी.
Awesome. I'm trying to give more example. Let's see what you guys can, from being active to passive here. Okay. Let's try to use some of the verbs that you guys can think of. So at least I'm going to ask each of you to think about the verb and we'll try to use JAANA with that to see whether it works or not. Try to think about intransitive verb right now. Okay. Transitive will do it right after that. But try to think about an intransitive verb. Okay. You can write as well if you want. Let's say, who would like to go first? Give an example of intransitive verb. Risha ji?
Lotna.
Yeah.
Lotna.
Which one?
Lotna.
Lotna. Okay. So the verb here is lotna. What is lotna?
To return, to come back.
Okay. Lotna. To return. Okay. And when you use it with JAANA, it becomes?
Laut jana.
Very good. Laut jana. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Okay. It works quite well, Let's see some more intransitive verbs.
Ashu Ji,
Yeah.
nikalna.
Huh?
Nikalna.
Nikalna. Awesome. What is nikalna?
To leave.
To leave. Very good. Okay. And try to use it with JAANA.
Nikal jana.
Nikal jana. Okay. He left versus he has left. Okay. If you were to use it in the past tense, this one, how will you say? He has left in the morning at, let's say, 3 a.m. in the morning. How will you say that? वह let's say 3 बजे
3 बजे निकल गया.
Very good. ट्रेन से 3 बजे ट्रेन से निकल गया. Okay. So it's, again, it's don't 100% quote it, but left versus has left. Okay, it may not work all the time. So when you say he left, वह निकला. Okay, he has left, वह निकल गया. Okay, sort of like, giving that extra touch. He has left. Okay, awesome. So you have bhulna, which is a very good one. Meera ji, you want to share this one?
Yes, bhulna is to forget.
Okay. Bhulna is to forget. Let me write it down. So bhulna is to forget. And then?
So it would be bhul jana.
Bhul jana.
Bhul gaya.
Bhul jana.
Bhul gayi.
Okay. So something that you try to use it in present tense. Like you go to a doctor and you say I just keep forgetting things. Right?
मैं चीजें भूल जाती हूँ.
चीजें is things. Okay, let me write it even different. मैं चीजें रख कर, like after placing things, मैं चीजें रख कर
भूल जाती हूँ.
Very good. मैं चीजें रख कर भूल जाती हूँ. Okay, मैं चीजें रख कर भूल जाती हूँ. Okay, Let's say you have forgotten the phone number of someone. How will you say that in Hindi?
मैं
Your phone number.
मेरा फोन नंबर भूल गई.
No.
भूल गई.
Okay. So in this case, you're saying I have forgotten your phone number. So मैं
आपका फोन नंबर भूल गई.
Very good. मैं आपका phone number भूल गई. Okay. Let's again think in Hindi only. Okay. This is working much better than us going into that, the differentiation. Okay. Let's see some more intransitive verbs. So you have shared some nice one here, right? You shared, okay. Let's see some more. Okay. Awesome. So Nandini ji is sharing khatam hona or khatm hona. Okay. Khatam hona. What is it, Nandini ji?
Something to finish.
To finish. Okay.
Complete. To complete or to finish.
Okay. And when you use it with JAANA is?
काम खत्म हो जाएगा.
Okay. काम खत्म हो जाना.
हो गया और हो जाएगा.
Okay. So let's say a son wants to say to her mom, like, I have finished my work. Or I finished my homework.
मैं
Okay.
अपना homework खत्म किया. I would say I did.
Okay. So there are many ways to say it, but I have finished.
मैं अपना homework कर चुका.
Okay. So you can totally say that, right? There are many ways to say it. Like you can totally say kar chuka hu, like, but if you were to use compound verb, you can say my homework, or let's say in the passive
My
voice.
homework is finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's say if you were to use in the passive sense that Colleen is talking about.
मेरा homework
Yes.
खत्म हो गया.
Very good, right? So मेरा homework
हो गया.
खत्म हो गया है. My homework has been,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Right? No, this is good. There are many ways to saying it, right? I mean, so मेरा homework खत्म हो गया है. Okay. Let's see. शुरू होना. That's also a good one, right? शुरू होना. शुरू होना. शुरू होना will become
To start.
Yeah.
शुरू हो जाएगा.
Very good, to start. And then शुरू होना. शुरू हो जाना.
हो जाएगा.
Okay. So in the future, let's say you are in a theater, you are waiting for your friends. Okay. And you want them to rush because jaldi kar varna, like be quick, varna 3 baje movie shuru.
शुरू हो जाएगा.
Very good. Shuru, movie is feminine, so movie shuru
हो जाएगा.
because movie is feminine, it would be
हो जाएगी.
Very good.
अच्छा मूवी फेमिनिन. ओके हो जाएगी.
movie shuru ho jayegi. From not being played, movie will start, they'll start showing the movie. Okay. The first one is simply saying movie shuru hogi, movie will start. In this one, you want to tell your friend, like, come quickly, be quick, otherwise movie will start. Movie 3 baje shuru ho jayegi. Okay. From not being played to they'll start showing it. They're not going to wait for you. Okay. Movie shuru ho jayegi. Any other intransitive verb you guys can think of? Chalna. Okay. Okay. Which sentence are you thinking, Kelly ji?
I'm always thinking of what doesn't stick for me is like if we're in the practice group and someone comes in and they say, oh, where's Nandini? And then you want to say she left, right?
Yeah. Huh.
So is
Chali,
that one where you can say chal gai?
Chali gayi.
Wait, okay.
Chali gayi.
Or you could say Nikal gai, right?
Yes. So no, you can say this is you were thinking correct. You can say for a guy, you can say chala gaya, okay, or chali gayi.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Or
So, and one is really like chali gai is like really saying like she took off versus nikal gai is like she left.
she
Is
left.
that right?
That's right. That's right. She is like that's right. Like for this context, like if you have left the Zoom, I will not say I mean, again, if you're doing the literal translation, they will say, oh, meeting se nikal gaya, right? Or you can say meeting se chala gaya, right? So for meeting or any kind of a thing, this goes better versus like if you've left, from the station, gaadi se nikal gaya.
Wait, this is important. I never get this. So is that because it's why? What's the? Because I always think of like nikalna as like you're coming out of a building, or is it a physicalness versus a cyber?
I have to test it out, but like on the surface it appears like that. Like in the virtual stuff, the but I have to test it out though, Kelly G. Right? So it's a good question.
I mean, for you, like when if you come into a meeting or a party or something, you say, where's Nandini? And then you're like, oh, she took off or she left. Which one would you use?
So in a birthday party or in a...
Or any kind of like a gathering where somebody left.
Yeah.
It's just so simple in Spanish. You have one verb to leave.
It's
right?
an interesting one. So I would say Nandini chali gayi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more what you would use versus nikalna is like you're actually physically maybe leaving a building.
Yeah. So, so if I were to say same thing, if I were to say that Nandini has, train se nikal gayi, like, so I would say Nandini yahan se chali gayi or train se nikal gayi, right? So she's left from the party, but she took the train to leave from the city.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we have some more time, and I want to try it out. So this is in the worst case scenario, if it is still bothering you because the state transition or sense of completion is not 100% clear in your mind, I would say still try to at least try to do the contrast, like try to take the intransitive verb that you have, and if somebody is trying to use it with JAANA, at least understand that they are trying to highlight, they're trying to emphasize the meaning of the first word. Okay, even if you don't use it yourself, if someone else is using it, at least have that, like, in your basically knowledge bank here, so that way at least you're not being basically you're able to understand that one when someone is using it. Okay. I want to use the remaining time to use and so far we have still not made a lot of sentences, so we will continue, and maybe my hope is after practicing more it will be clear, right? But it is a bit of a hard topic. So what if you were to use now, instead of intransitive verb, you have a transitive verb along with JAANA. Okay. So transitive verbs where you have direct object, which is khana, pina, okay, those kind of verbs, khana, pina, and to understand, right? I mean, you understand something. So basically, samajhna, and that is used along with JAANA. Whenever you do that, it's basically highlighting your sense of thoroughness. Sense of thoroughness. Okay, so one is you want to say I understand versus I thoroughly understand. Okay, now you can say, I can say it in different ways. मैं अच्छी तरह समझता हूँ, मैं पूरी तरह समझता हूँ. You can say it different ways, but by using the auxiliary verb, you are implying that there is a sense of thoroughness there. Okay, so if I were to use khana, okay, along with JAANA, it's basically, I'm gonna erase it, okay? You are really saying kha jana. Kha jana. Basically, you finished it, okay? वह सारा खाना खा जाता है, okay? और उसने एप्पल in the past, वह एप्पल खा गया, okay? खा जाना. Similarly, you have pina. Pina becomes pee jana. Pee jana. He was so thirsty that he finished. वह इतना प्यासा था कि उसने वह सारा पानी पी गया in the past. Okay. Similarly, samajhna, if you were to use jana with it, you will say samajh jana. Okay, samajh jana. Okay, so sentences, let's not do sentences because we have very limited time and I do want to spend more time on it. So I promise we'll continue this topic next week also. Okay, as slowly we are going, that's okay with that. I'm okay with that, but I'm going to make sure at least with practice you are somewhat comfortable with it. So my ask is, I want you to share some more transitive verbs and at least, if minimum, at least try practicing jana with it. Okay, hopefully that is a simple thing. So let's see, Nandini ji, what do you think? Try to share some transitive verb.
Transitive verb, some likhna.
Okay, likhna. So likhna.
No, it won't be
Yeah.
likhna. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't make
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, you will say likh liya, right? I mean, but
Yeah. Khareedna? No.
Okay,
No, that's also liya,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? Kaam karna? No.
okay. That's also, you benefit.
So the very few. No.
Yeah, there are fewer, definitely fewer transitive verbs. It doesn't work across the.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Rukna.
Okay, rukna. Very good. Is it transitive? Or intransitive? Will you say मैं रुका or will you say मैंने रुका?
Like if someone is going and they stopped, would that be transitive?
Say it again, one more time.
Like if someone is walking and then they stop walking.
Okay.
Would that be?
So you stop. Do you stop something? No, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so मैं, like for example, मैं सड़क पे जा रहा था और कार रुक गई. The car stopped. I think that's what you're saying, right? The car stopped. So that is intransitive, right? Car रुक गई, right? So very fewer transitive verbs actually. So that's why I was saying in the beginning, mostly it works for intransitive verbs. There are definitely some, transitive verbs where it works.
I wanted to ask earlier.
Yeah.
Somehow it wasn't coming through. Chodna, when you was using chalna, like chalgai, how does chodna work with that?
Chhod gaya. Like chhod gaya. Is that what it? Huh?
The same way.
So, like somebody has left his family.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Or like?
I'm not sure how that would work.
Okay, so.
That's why I'm asking.
So let's say somebody has left the city. So वह शहर छोड़ गया. If that's what you're thinking, that will work well. वह शहर, either you can say छोड़ के चला गया, okay? Or some people will abbreviate it instead of छोड़ के, instead of चला जाना, you can say, they can simply use छोड़ना as a verb and they can say छोड़ गया.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Needs. Okay. So needs an object. Okay. Okay. Kolinji, you have a question? It's okay. You can ask here. Maybe we'll spend there.
No, Ashu Ji, I didn't have a question on that. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Done? You want to share any other? Just share one word, whether transitive or intransitive. Doesn't matter.
Chalna, to walk.
Chalna. Okay. So let's at least try to use chalna. So chalna with
Chalna plus jana is cha jana.
chal jana. Okay. This one is hard. Where will you use it? Chal jana.
Finish walking a distance.
Huh? Main chal. Okay. Okay. This one is hard. Try a different verb. I mean, this one I'll end up spending more time on. Try a different verb. Maybe will help that way.
Pakana, to cook.
To cook, okay. But then, okay, pakana. Which one will you use? Pakana, you will use lena, dena, or jana. When you cook, who benefits?
The others.
Okay.
Dena.
Very good, paka dena. You can benefit yourself also when you will say paka lena, right? So I'm still glad at least you tried a verb and you eliminated the possibility. So let's see. Donaji, you want to try one verb and we'll see which one fits better. Forget about the longer sentences. Just take one word.
Well, I had asked if padna would work.
Padna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which one will you use with padna?
I guess it depends.
Yeah.
You could read to other people.
Yeah.
You could be reading to yourself.
So that's lena.
Or you could be reading avidly, thoroughly. Could you use all three?
Okay, that's right. Actually, all of them are right. So when you're reading it for yourself, pad lena. When you're reading for others, pad dena. But you are reading thoroughly. Pad. It's not that commonly used, but you can say pad jana, right? I mean, awesome. Anything else that comes to your mind, Donaji?
No.
Okay, awesome. Let's see who have not spoken with. We'll take one last one and then we'll wrap it up. I know this one is hard topic, so we'll continue it next week as well. Sunita ji, you want to share?
Yeah.
Any verb? Yes, go for it.
Banana.
Huh?
Banana.
Banana, okay. Banana is?
To make.
To make, okay. Now, which one will you use? Lena, dena, or jana?
Lena and dena.
Lena and dena you'll use. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay. When will you use lena? When will you use dena?
When you make for yourself, you say lena.
Okay.
Make for others, dena.
Awesome. That's a good one. And then let me just erase it one more time. And then I'll try to do two more. And I know we're a little bit over time, but I want to make sure at least. So in the exercise number 1 that you have at Usha Jain, right? Gadi, okay, aapka kaam, okay. So her question is try to use the compound verb in this sentence. So this first one is, and I want all of you to do it. I want all of you to do it. Aapka kaam kab khatam आपका काम कब खत्म होगा. So try to change this sentence by using compound verb. Okay, so all of you, I want you to try it. How will you change the sentence? आपका काम कब खत्म होगा? That's the first one. And the second one is वह थक कर पलंग पर वह, it's this one, वह थक कर पलंग पर लेटा. You have two words and you have to transform the sentence to compound verbal formation with JAANA. So essentially the same two sentences, you just have to change it by adding JAANA to the main verbs. That's it. And try to keep the tenses the same. आपका काम कब खत्म होगा? Okay. Summer, it's a hard one. It's a very hard one. Okay. So I wanted to break it down. What is आपका?
होगा.
Okay. Summer, आपका is?
हो. जाए.
Okay.
होगा.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Is that you, Summer? Okay. If you need more time, that's completely okay. Let's see. Who would like to answer this one? Donna ji, you are doing that or?
आपका काम कब खत्म हो जाएगा?
Very good, right? So instead of ho na, you set ho plus JAANA, and because it's future indefinite, you transition it accordingly. So it would be ho jayega. Okay, Christina ji, you do the next one.
वो थका पलंग पर लेटा.
Okay, so what does it mean?
He was laying on the bed.
He got what thakkar after getting tired.
Now,
Yes.
oh no.
He was tired.
Oh, after getting tired, he laid on the bed.
That's right. That's right. If it was simply वह पलंग पर लेटा, he lay down on the bed, right? I mean, so now do it the other one. वह
थका पलंग पर लेट गया.
Very good. पलंग पर. So what you've done is you took the letna and then you said late. So it's not let. Late gaya. Okay. वह पलंग पर लेट गया. Awesome. So let me stop the broadcast. I know we're a little bit over.